Cities around the country are implementing new safety measures while tightening restrictions as cases of COVID surge. Current conditions have led to growing economic concerns, likely to only get worse if Congress doesn't finally come up with a new stimulus plan. Meanwhile, it's been only a week since Joe Biden was named president-elect, but he and his team have already begun focusing on the surging pandemic and recession, promising to push ahead with expanding the Affordable Care Act while also putting together a team of doctors, economists, and business experts to create best practices for fighting this pandemic. Joining me to discuss some of those plans is Sara Nelson, one of the co-chairs of the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force. She is also the president of the Association of Flight Attendants. Sara, good to see you. You and I have been talking about this probably for 8 or 9 months now, about the ways in which we can keep people working. And it was looking like folks were going to be able to start getting back to work. And in your industry, flights were picking up. And now we are seeing this new wave, and we are worried that businesses are going to start shutting down and people are going to stop traveling again. And we don't have an adequate plan from this government about how to keep people paid and how to keep businesses open.
That's absolutely correct, Ali. We have not had the relief that we need to have. And when we put in place the relief plan in March, take the airline industry, for example. We're 80% union. We were able to force the airlines to agree to a workers' first package that directed all the money to our pay and benefits, keeping us in our jobs, and also capping executive pay and banning stock buybacks and dividends. But those requirements expired on September 30th. And so we have mass furloughs in the airline industry now for no reason. This is the best template moving forward. This is a template that President-elect Biden would like to use for the rest of the country. And we need to put this in place. But now the cases are surging. We're right in the middle of the pandemic, as you said. We're right in the middle of the crisis, and it's going to continue to get worse. Those people who are out on furlough and the rest of the people who are picking up the slack with airlines who are trying to cut costs everywhere, so it's very difficult at work right now, those people, you cannot retroactively restore lives. You can't make people whole again. You've got to get relief in place right now. Mitch McConnell has said he wants to do targeted relief. So far, that has meant he wants to target workers and give no accountability to corporations for packing people into distribution centers and factories and meat packing plants. That's his plan. So what we need to do is call the question on Mitch McConnell and put over a package that makes sense, that restores people to work, that gives people the ability to care for themselves right now and be strong enough as we go into the transition to this new government.
You make an interesting point, because people compare the dollar value of the Democratic plan and the Republican Senate plan. But in fact, the Republican Senate plan is a lot about indemnifying companies who call their people back to work against lawsuits. When in fact, the Democratic plan, in fact, I want to put up what Joe Biden's stimulus plan is, because it talks about enhanced unemployment insurance, increase to Social Security payments, making COVID-19 medical treatment free, paid sick leave, stimulus checks, and student loan forgiveness. We got 245,000 people dead so far. We're losing on average 1,000 a day. That number's going up, which means we're going to lose another 70,000 at least before Inauguration Day. Sara, you made the point. You don't get these lives back. We need to fix this problem now.
Absolutely. And, you know, as you said, all eyes are on Georgia. There's tens of thousands of aviation workers in Georgia. There is relief that we can put in place right now, because Joe Biden's plan is fantastic. It's something that we can organize around, and it's something that we can force whatever the Senate looks like to do if we have the ability to do that. But that is not going to come until he gets his cabinet in place, until we get well into next year. And so we have to recognize that we've got to lock in as much relief as possible so that we're strong enough and able to make the economic argument that it's the Democrats who are trying to help people. It's the Democrats who are trying to get people strong enough to be able to get through this pandemic. And so we've got to lock in as much relief now as possible.
Dr. Michael Osterholm, who's on the COVID task force for Biden, had suggested a plan that you and I, again, have talked about for months, and that is one that's used in certain European countries, and that is, lockdown or not, have the government pay people a large portion of their salaries, or at least pay the companies to pay their workers, which is the plan that was going on with the airlines before it ended at the end of September.
Absolutely. That's the plan that works. And, you know, keeping people in their jobs, whether there's work there or not, is even more critical in the United States of America, because we do not have health care that's provided by the government. So when people lose their job, they also lose their health care. we're in a weaker position that way. In the airline industry, for example, we keep people in their jobs, keep them connected to their health care, keep them paying taxes so that we're not worsening those state and local budgets that are already under stress. We're continuing to pay the cable bill. We're supporting 1 in 14 jobs in this country. And we're also, Allie, this is really important. We're talking about a vaccine. We're talking about distribution of a vaccine. We cannot do that unless the airline industry is in place. There's no way you can actually distribute the vaccine fast enough if you don't have a fully strong airline industry able to move those jumbo jets that will distribute that vaccine. So this is so important to get in place now. You cannot put this in place in months from now and be ready to actually meet the demands that this country needs on the other side of this inauguration.
Sara, you've been making this point for months at the highest levels. Please continue to do so. Sara Nelson is the president of the Association of Flight Attendants, and she is the co-chair of the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force. Thanks for being with us.